So Avanti Brahmana's frustration brought him to the feeling of renunciation, and he became very serious about spiritual life. But when he became serious about spiritual life, he had even more trouble. And people started to attack him, to insult him, to torture him in different ways. So 2 days ago I promised we will not go through the whole story, but we looked in a couple of key points or key verses in this chapter. And I have chosen this story to speak about and to write about because it can help you to become strong, to be strong in hard moments. This is the story of a man who has developed great tolerance and also great determination. Great determination to continue with his spiritual progress despite any difficulty. So maybe you have experienced that you have wanted something very much and became almost unstoppable. Nobody could stop you because you were determined to get that. Similarly, he has developed a great determination to change his consciousness. His consciousness was already quite changed and quite evolved, but he wanted to continue. And I have chosen for today 3 verses that I will speak about. One of them I mentioned, but I think most of you were not here, is the point when how he reacted to his problems. So his family left him, he lost his wealth. Some of the wealth was taken by family members, some of the wealth was taken by the government, some of the wealth was taken by the thieves, and his reaction was really, really, unusual. Unusual is a weak word, extraordinary. His reaction was extraordinary. He said, God must be very satisfied with me because everybody left me. So usually if this happens to us, we become depressed and sometimes want to commit suicide. But he was very, very enlivened by the whole so-called problem. He saw the opportunity in the problem. The opportunity to... Because he was a Brahmana, he had some knowledge, but he didn't use it. And now, again, it seems like that this knowledge has been awakened. Knowledge about what? Knowledge about the temporary nature of this world. We are here now, and we will die in a few years, or in a few decades. Some of you who are younger, you will need a couple of decades. And we don't know where we are going, we don't know where we have come from. So he understood the temporary nature of this life and the relationships also. And he said, oh, God must be so satisfied with me that he took everything away from me, my family, my wealth, my possessions. He didn't have fame. I mean, he was famous as a bad person, so this wasn't taken away from him yet. It will be taken away when he becomes glorious as a spiritual person later. So, then he started to practice. He took sannyas, renounced order of life, became like a monk, traveling monk, and he started visiting different places, walking from town to town. But people knew him from before, and they didn't believe that he has become serious about becoming a saintly person. So they really, really tortured him. So this verse 28 says, Nunam me bhagavam stushta sarva deva mayo harihi yena nito dasham etam nirvedash chatmana plavaha The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, who contains within himself all the demigods, must be satisfied with me. Indeed, he brought me to this suffering condition and forced me to experience detachment, which is the boat to carry me over this ocean of material life. So why we are swimming in the ocean of material life? Because of attachment. We think we will be happy here. Purport. The Brahmana could understand that the demigods who award different types of sense gratification as the result of one's fruitive activities cannot bestow the highest benefit in life. When the Brahmana lost all his property, he could understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who comprises all the demigods, had given him the highest perfection, not by awarding sense gratification, but by saving him from the ocean of material enjoyment. Being thus deprived of the opportunity to cultivate religiosity, wealth, sense gratification, and liberation, the Brahmana became detached, and transcendental knowledge awakened within his heart. So there was this awakening, a little bit of awakening. A very, very short moment of higher consciousness is more valuable than billions of dollars. And this is what happened to him. So now you may say, saving him from an ocean of material enjoyment, that sounds weird. Saving him from what? We all want material enjoyment, so why should anybody save us from the ocean of material enjoyment? We want to dive into the ocean of material enjoyment. But this is compared to the flies which are running into what? Into flames, into fire. They're attracted by the light and by the heat of the fire, and they don't understand that they will find their death there. Similarly, we are attracted by the glazing effulgence of material energy, and we don't understand that this will be lethal. It will be lethal. It will be detrimental for us. But this person has understood, and this is why he was grateful. He was thanking God for putting him in this situation where he was forced to become detached. Now, I think most of us would not like such an experience, to be forced to be detached. I don't want to ask you to raise your hands because it's a tough question. Would you like to be forced to be detached? And sometimes, but this is like a parent forcing a child to take a medicine to get healed from the disease. And so this is for the benefit of the person. It's not for the benefit of God. And Brahmana understood this. So this is one lesson that we may try to take from this chapter, that how can I think like this? Or can I think like this? Is it possible for me to think like this? So I think the answer is you can. But you need to cultivate spiritual knowledge and to practice and to elevate your consciousness. Then you can think like this. It's not easy to think like this. It requires a lot of... Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you for coming. It requires a lot of courage, and also it requires a level of consciousness. It requires knowledge. It requires realization. So through suffering, he had realization. Imagine you are attached to someone. It may be a man or a woman, it may be a child, and then this person becomes very, very harsh with you, insulting, always calling you bad words, behaving very badly. And chances are that you will develop detachment from that person, because you are only getting pain from that person. So this is what happened to this Brahmana. He developed detachment by force. He developed detachment by suffering. And he was ready to move forward. But when he started moving forward, then there were obstacles. Sometimes people come to our movement and then they say, oh, now I have more problems than before. You people are telling me that I will become happy and I will get free from suffering and from difficulties. But now my family hates me, my friends left me, I lost all money, and I have more trouble than before. And then we say, well, we think that your faith is tested and your seriousness, how serious you are about spiritual life. Maybe in past lives you have gotten a chance and then you didn't use it properly, or maybe in past lives you have made some offenses and now you will not get it so easily. Especially if you took it cheaply in your previous lives. So you persist, you don't give up. And we will work on these difficulties, we can work together, we can help you. But don't give up just because there are some obstacles. And then the attachment of that person is tested for the very people who torture him or her. And it's a very difficult situation. Now they are between God and family. The best is that the whole family is devoted to God, but if not, then you are in between them, and you don't know what to do. And you felt some security with your family, but now they also don't like you. You are not yet at the side of God. You don't feel so much faith. You're in between. You're in a limbo. You are lost. You don't have any shelter. But you have a choice to go back or to go forward. So he decided to go forward, and he experienced a lot of torture and suffering from people. And again, second time, in verse 42, we can see his second reaction. Again, extremely amazing reaction. Dvija uvacha, nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetur nadeva tatma graha karma kalaha mana param karanam amananti samsara chakram parivartayedyat. The Brahmana said, these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress. Neither are the demigods, my own body, the planets, my past work, or time. Rather, it is the mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. The powerful mind actuates the functions of the material modes, from which evolve the different kinds of material activities in the modes of goodness, ignorance, and passion. From the activities in each of these modes develop the corresponding statuses of life. So now, who can get philosophical when the mind is disturbed? Only a rare person can do that, Hare Krishna. Only a rare person can get philosophical and get like a broader perspective, spiritual perspective, look from above, like balcony view or bird's view. Very few people can do that. Because when we are hurt, when we are insulted, then we are so disturbed that the intelligence is covered. Intelligence is covered, and we cannot think properly. What to speak of thinking intelligently? But he was able to think like this. After being tortured so much, insulted, attacked, his conclusion was, these people are not cause of my suffering. It's my mind. So he took responsibility. It's my mind who is the cause of suffering and perpetual birth and death in this world. So he's, in other words, he's saying that we are responsible for our situation. There is no one to blame. Each and every one of us is responsible for our situation. But this is very difficult to swallow. This is very difficult to understand. And later, in verse 48, failing to conquer this irrepressible enemy, the mind, whose urges are intolerable and who torments the heart, many people are completely bewildered and create useless quarrel with others. Thus, they conclude that other people are either their friends, their enemies, or parties indifferent to them. Now, there is few descriptions here of the mind. It says that the power, the mind torments the heart. And in another place it is stated that the mind's power is godlike. So actually it is Krishna's energy. The mind is Krishna's external energy. And it's meant to condition us in this world. It's meant to torment, to torture the soul. So why are such severe descriptions there? Because we have to be aware that the mind is not a joke. Our mind can actually elevate us or drag us down. And there is two functions of Maya, or illusory energy, avaranatmika Shakti and prakshipatmika Shakti, to cover you over and to drag you down. And this Maya does through the mind. Mainly it does through the mind. There is other warnings in the scriptures about the mind. It says that like when the hunter catches an animal and doesn't tie it very strongly, it can run away at any moment. So similarly we may think, oh no, I have controlled my mind, I'm okay. And then at 1 second the mind can go to the lowest levels of existence and to the lowest thoughts about sinful activities, about harming other people, so many things. So therefore, we actually are not in a very easy position when we have a material mind. If the mind is not purified, it cannot be peaceful and it cannot be controlled all the time. So now, this song of the Avanti Brahmana explains the power of the mind, gives us warnings in relation to the mind. And helping us to become aware of the danger that is there in between our ears. So having two very, very intense experiences. One was being left by his family, being deprived of all of his wealth. Then the second is when he became serious about his spiritual life, he was tortured by people, and he passed through all of this, and he became even more determined for spiritual life. So in comparison to what he has gone through, probably most of us didn't go through similar difficulties, and we can learn from him how to be determined and how to be steady. And just a little bit later I will read a verse which describes how he is planning to continue, despite all the difficulties, and how much he is determined. So in any effort, whatever you want to do, whether it's material or spiritual, you need determination. Determination is described in the Bhagavad Gita also. And this Avanti Brahmana is showing a wonderful example of determination for spiritual advancement, for spiritual life, for devotional service to God or to Krishna. At the end of this chapter, there is a description of the benefits of hearing this story. Simply by hearing this story, we can develop some of the qualities of the Avanti Brahmana. Some of his attitudes we can develop also. I recommend, if you want to read the Shastra, to read aloud. It's much more powerful. And you engage the mind and your speech and the ears, sense of hearing, at the same time. Three aspects of your existence you engage. And also it's easier to remember, and others can benefit also from your reading if somebody is hearing who is nearby, or you can record it and publish it on Facebook so that others can hear. And this is maybe the only Shastra that people hear in a day. Now, if you have Android phone, then there is an option. If you don't want your face to be seen, then there is an option to record only audio and to publish audio as a live video. It says video, but it's actually, it can be only audio with your photo or with your, whatever is your profile picture. It doesn't have to be your photo. So you can read for yourself and then share with others, and you can benefit other people also. Somebody, while you are sleeping, someone may be reading what you have dictated, and they may be benefited. They may see, oh, what is this? And what is this book? We can put a link also. Nowadays, internet is considered sometimes to be a great distraction from anything that you want to do, but actually internet can be used for spreading transcendental knowledge and benefiting people so much. And sometimes people are busy working or busy looking at their screens, various kinds of screens, small, bigger, and the biggest, up to plasma TV. And if at the screen appears some verse from the scriptures, they can read it, or they can hear it, or if you have dictated something, they can hear the audio online, and they can start to scratch their head. And, oh my God, what is this? Let me look at the link to read the whole chapter, or the whole verse, or the whole purport. So these stories are not for saints. They are also for saints, but it's not. It's for all of us to learn something and to apply. It's very practical. So from this story, we learn many practical points. The story of the Avanti Brahmana. So maybe you don't have time to read the whole chapter, but you can read one verse, you can read one commentary, one purport, and be benefited. Even our teacher Srila Prabhupada said that even if you read one word from the scriptures, you will be benefited. So we have some more time to go to the last verse that I wanted to discuss today. It's 57th verse, and this is the verse actually that Lord Chaitanya also quoted. It's such a famous verse, it's such a powerful verse. Etam sa astaya paratmanishtam adyasitam purvatamair maharshibihi aham tarishyami duranto param tamo mukudangri nisheva yaiva. I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nations by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now this is sannyas. This is the renounced order of life, and therefore the whole purport is the devotees who made this 11th canto. They are quoting Srila Prabhupada. He commented on this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and they are giving the whole purport here in Madhya Lila 3.6. This purport is there. This verse is there also in Madhya Lila, 6th verse of the 3rd chapter of Madhya Lila. And the whole purport is about sannyas. But Srila Prabhupada says that sannyas doesn't mean changing your dress from white to orange. Sannyas means changing your attitude into service attitude to God, to His devotees. So here we have great determination of Avanti Brahmana despite all the obstacles, all the difficulties. And he is described in other verses here as a firm mountain. Also in the 10th canto there is a description. The devotee is like a firm mountain. His determination is like a firm mountain. This means unbreakable. But in order to have such a determination, one has to have faith. If we don't have enough faith in God, in His words, and in this process of devotional service, then we will not have this determination. We will be flickering, and things can distract us, and we will think maybe this is not for me, this process, or maybe I follow something else, or maybe I just do whatever my mind tells me. This is too hard. I don't understand it. Does God exist? Or does Krishna exist? How can I believe it? And so on. But if the faith is developed, at least to some extent, by hearing, by associating with devotees, by practicing the process of devotional service and chanting the holy name of the Lord, then one can come close to this kind of determination that Avanti Brahmana had. So he's a great inspiration, and we all face difficulties from time to time, and we can remember him and try to follow in his footsteps. How to react to difficulties? Don't give up devotional service. Don't give up service to God. Don't give up your hope. Don't give up your spiritual understanding, and don't take shelter of the material energy. So thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions? For those who don't know, this is the second part of my talks on Avanti Brahmana. One was 2 days ago, I think, also in the evening, but most of you were not there. But at the beginning I had given an overview, and then we focused on 3 verses. Yes?
You mentioned faith. Development of faith, and as you said, is very important. I understand from what you read that the Brahmana had knowledge, and that really saved him. He was aware of the truth. And when he was put in that situation, this knowledge became very self-evident. It became, this is what's happening on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think faith, just faith, blind faith is useless. It is lying to oneself.
So what's your point? That faith should be blind?
No, not should be blind. It should be based on something evidence, something true.
Yes.
Yes.
Faith is based on understanding and realization. So understanding is gained by hearing. If something makes sense to you, you have a tendency to have faith in it. If it sounds reasonable, okay, it sounds probable or possible, and then realization is gained through devotional service, through chanting. One can realize many things. One can feel it in his heart, and also, so many devotees have so many experiences how Krishna helped them. Now, on the other hand, devotees have experienced how Krishna put them in trouble also, but they were able to learn something from that. It's not always peaches and cream. Sometimes it's tough, but there is a lesson to be learned in that. And this is how our faith grows. People whose faith is blind, weak, or not based on knowledge, when it gets tough, they leave. But people who have, like him himself, he had knowledge, he had realization, and he didn't leave, he didn't stop. So this is why Srila Prabhupada prepared so many books, 60 books, so that we can really understand what we are doing. And sometimes devotees do so much service that they don't read, and then one day they disappear, where he's gone, and then he said, I forgot why I was doing this. So therefore we have to find time to read, we have to find time to listen and understand in the class, here on the iPod, iPad, and the iPhone or Android. Yes?
I only mentioned this once before, a long time ago. Hearing in the scriptures also means learning,
Yes.
not just hearing.
Yes.
Or listening, they just need to hear.
Learning and applying. Yes. And then realizing, yes, there was a hand. Somebody else? No? Okay. Not just...
What was the devotee's name?
Avanti Brahmana.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Avanti. Brahmana from the province called Avanti, but they call him here Avanti Brahmana. Even it is said that there is a city of Avanti, so I don't know where it is, but I don't know, maybe somewhere in India, I don't know. And the chapter is 23rd chapter of the 11th canto. It's called the Song of the Avanti Brahmana. So all these things, his realizations that he explained is actually... Here Krishna is talking to Uddhava. Krishna is talking to Uddhava and he's telling him this story to explain how to be resilient to the dualities of material nature. And Krishna was in the middle of the chapter, you can see that Krishna was so pleased with this Brahmana when he got this realization about the temporary nature of the family relationships and the material wealth, that he took it positively. Sometimes people lose things, but they take it very negatively. They blame God, they curse, their faith decreases. And there is other... Yesterday, Tripad Prabhu at the reception, he reads some books. Apart from this book, sometimes he try to understand some other things, how people are healed. And he was telling me that, I don't know if you have heard this story. So one doctor was trying to help a patient, and is any of you a doctor here? No. Okay. So one doctor, he was trying to help the patient, and then he got sick. Actually, he got the same disease, and he died. And he went to God to complain. He said, I was trying to help this patient and you killed me. And God told him, I don't know if it's Krishna, God is one, but God said, well, you interfered in my work. I gave this person a disease to learn something and you tried to save him and to heal him. So by your ego, you have spoiled my plan. So we should be compassionate to people suffering, but there is always a reason why people suffer, and the great favor would be if we can explain to them, or if they can understand or see and learn the lesson from any disease, any trouble, any pain, because this is the purpose of the pain, to learn something. It's not the purpose to torture us. God is not laughing that we are suffering, but He wants to show us something that we learn and we avoid any further suffering. Yes?
When you ended the story, it was beautiful. Something stood out quite strongly, which was attachment to God.
Attachment to God?
Yeah.
This is the goal, yes.
But what does it mean? You said, at the end of it, if somebody is suffering, that means you should not help him, or you should not cure it. You should let him do what he's doing. Was it for a teaching? Or what I couldn't understand.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. So, you have many healers who are not medical doctors. They try to help people. And some healers say that they are guided how to help people. So, I heard, you can ask Kripat where he got this information, but I'm just repeating what I heard from him yesterday. It's not from the Shastra, it's from Kripat Prabhu, from the reception. So, he said that healers who actually try to be saviors, they get sick. They get really, really sick and they die. But healers who are able to feel how much they can interfere, and they help maybe in one part, but not in everything, help people, they don't get sick, they get energized by their helping people, and they also help the person, but this person also has to help himself, has to understand something and do some changes. And as you have heard, that the cause of every physical disease is on a more subtle platform. So actually, my profession, my service is a helping service. Life coaching is a helping service. So I have to understand how much I should try to help person or just help them to help themselves. You know the story about the boy who was helping a caterpillar to fly? You heard that story?
No, before that, but my question was different. My question was like when you said the doctor was doing a surgery on a patient because he was suffering. Because all of us suffer from something or the other. Okay. If the objective of God was to give the teaching
Yes.
us to suffer, so I really could not correlate with you as to what it is. Doctor treating a patient is not doing the job he should be doing, or is it really interfering with the job of God? Because God had some plan for that particular human being to go through.
It's not an easy question to answer. What I have understood from yesterday's discussion is that one should be able to understand how much he should help, so that the person can continue, can get on with life and can understand more lessons. It's not that we, compassionately let them die. This is not the point. Or let them suffer like a dog, or whatever is the metaphor. So definitely we should help, but we should not overhelp, and we should not think I'm helping, but God is helping. I'm an instrument, and if we can understand how much we should help a person, not only on a physical level, but on any level, how much we should help the person so that they can actually continue and that they can learn something, and then get a greater benefit than just healing the physical disease. So I think any doctor or any helper has to be guided, has to be so Krishna conscious or God conscious that he should be guided how much he should help and how much he should not help. Then he is doing the best service, I think. That's my understanding.
The butterfly story. It's a very good analogy.
Fly?
The butterfly story.
Butterfly story.
Very good analogy.
Well, the caterpillar was trying to get out of the cocoon, and the boy got compassionate, and he was thinking that I will help him. He's struggling and it's hard. And then he opened the cocoon and the caterpillar came out, tried to fly, but because the natural process is that you have to develop your wings by struggling, he couldn't fly for life. So he didn't help him. The intention was to help, but the result was not good. You have heard for like non-vegetarian example, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. You heard that? Prabhupada sometimes uses non-vegetarian examples like, this is not Prabhupada's example, but he says, catch the big fish without getting wet. So I felt freedom to use the non-vegetarian example, but I have also, converted this example into other example, which give a man some money, you feed him for a day, teach him how to serve, you feed him for a lifetime. So okay, we can give immediate help, but actually the best is to empower people to help themselves. So that was something that...
Yes, that makes sense.
That makes more sense, okay. Thank you. Yes?
Sometimes, when you go Sankirtan or distribute books, like some people, they avoid, they don't want to see. Some people are interested and they want to do. Or when you preach them about not eating meat, but they don't want to listen, we try to help them, we try to preach them, but they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't help themselves, we cannot, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not time yet. We never reject anyone. We never forget anyone who came in touch. But we think time will come. We believe, we hope time will come and they will again. They said, now I understand. You offered me something. I have an incredible story a friend told me. It's her story. Her son used to bring her a book many times from the shelf. Some boy, a small boy, without any explanation. And she would always reject it and put it back on the shelf. And he also somehow he had a sense for it was Ishopanishad and also it was a vegetarian cookbook. So he didn't know how to read, but somehow he picked up these two books, which were not in the same place. And he would bring it to her, and she would always put it back. And years later, she would meet devotees, she would see, oh my God, this book I always saw, but I rejected it. She was not ready to read it. So God was trying to give her a book, but she wasn't ready, and the book was still on the shelf. And one day she took it, and she read it, and now she's a devotee. Like this. So we always have a hope that people will come back.
Yeah, they maybe not that time, maybe later.
Yes.
They keep it.
Yes.
That's
So
true.
every effort that you make, never think that it's in vain. There will be always some result in the future, I believe.
That's true.
Yeah. As the Avanti is coming, more people are coming to the class. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, I give you a few minutes to relax, and maybe you want to breathe a little bit of London air. I don't know if it's fresh, but it's London air. Or drink water or something. So, thank you. Hare Krishna.